From time to time, the NBA gifts us with moments that transcend the scoreboard, the numbers, and the stats. These are instances that seem to slow down time, that make even the most seasoned fans stare at the screen with a certain sparkle in their eyes. That's exactly what happened in that game against the Lakers, when Brandon Podziemski, a name that until recently was underestimated by many, decided to leave his mark on the recent history of the Warriors with a half-court shot that silenced one of the loudest arenas in the league. But that wasn't just a lucky play. It was a message, a signature, the official arrival of a new chapter. Many people still haven't realized the impact this kid is having. And that's exactly why this story needs to be told, because what we saw against the Lakers was just the tip of the iceberg. Podziemski isn't just playing well, he's changing the way the Warriors look at the future. And the most intriguing part of it all? He's doing it his way, without copying anyone, without living in the shadow of legends. He's writing his own path. To understand the weight of this, we need to go back a few years, to that scenario where many had already declared the end of the Golden State Dynasty. It was 2018, and the team was on the verge of elimination by the Rockets, after falling behind 3-2 in the series. The hot takes came in like a flood. The cycle is over. The playing style has been figured out. Houston found the antidote, but it only took 2 games for the Warriors to prove otherwise. While Harden and company missed shot after shot, Steve Kerr's squad stayed calm, executed the plan, and showed that a true champion doesn't panic. They adapt. That kind of resilience doesn't happen by chance. It's part of a culture that was shaped through patience, sweat, and smart decisions. And that same culture, years later, gave another chance to a discredited player, Andrew Wiggins. In 2020, he was a punchline among analysts and fans. His name was synonymous with wasted potential. But all it took was time, trust, and the right environment for him to become an essential piece in another championship run in 2022. Crucial screens, fierce dunks, smothering defense, Wiggins reinvented himself. And now, the pattern repeats. Now, all eyes are on Podziemski, a kid from Santa Clara University who wasn't even considered a leading prospect in pre-draft debates. To many, he was just another deep bench gamble. But with every game, every minute on the court, he's disproving every label. Against the Lakers, he hit 8 three-pointers. But more than that, it was his demeanor, the control, the confidence of someone who seems to have lived it all before. The final shot was the cherry on top, but what truly stands out is his consistency. He doesn't flinch, he doesn't hesitate, and if you think it's just a hot streak, think again. Podziemski has a rare understanding of the game for someone his age. He reads plays with surgical precision, moves off the ball with intelligence, dishes out smart passes, and even helps on the boards like a power forward. At 22 years old, he plays like he's been in the league for a decade. And that's no coincidence. It's the result of study, discipline, and a thirst for growth that few rookies display. For years now, the Warriors franchise has talked about a transition plan, a bridge between the golden era led by Steph Curry and what's to come next. Many laughed at the idea. They said it was impossible to blend veterans and young players into the same project. But here's Podziemski, serving as the living link between the present and the future. He's the proof that the dream of staying competitive even after the current cycle ends is not an illusion. It's a work in progress. For the stat lovers out there, here's a fun fact. Brandon is the second youngest player in franchise history to hit 7 three-pointers in a game. The only one younger? Steph Curry, back in 2010. That kind of stat isn't just decorative. It builds symbolic bridges between generations. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, we're witnessing the birth of something special. And once again, development doesn't stop. In his rookie season, Podziemski led the league in fouls drawn by rookies. That shows he doesn't just know how to play, he knows how to compete. He understands where to exploit the opponent's weaknesses. Now, in his second year, he's become a complete offensive threat. No longer just a complementary piece, he's a weapon. Podziemski's evolution also shines a light on the Warriors system. A structure that, even under criticism, continues to develop talent with impressive frequency. The game against the Lakers wasn't an exception. It was a faithful portrait of the quiet, meticulous work being done behind the scenes. And contrary to what many believe, that magical moment didn't come out of nowhere. It's the result of a process that began the very day Brandon's name was called on draft night. And the most exciting part? He's just getting started. What we've seen so far might very well be just the first chapter, a warm-up. And if you still doubt that, maybe it's time to rethink things, because the talent, the mindset, and the effort, they're all there. And when those three elements combine in a solid environment like Golden State's, the result is almost always the same: immediate and lasting impact. That's why comparisons to past franchise legends aren't necessary. Brandon isn't here to follow a formula. He's not a reincarnation of anyone. He's original. He's crafting his own style. And that might be even more dangerous for opponents. While most try to predict the future by looking at the past, the Warriors continue to surprise by betting where no one else dares. And maybe, just maybe, that philosophy is the secret behind their longevity. Now, if Podziemski represents the future, the present still carries the echoes of an unfinished story. And stepping into this next chapter is a familiar face, and this old acquaintance goes by the name of Kevin Durant, a name that carries weight, memories, and also open wounds. For some, he was the one responsible for elevating the Warriors to an almost unreachable level, the pinnacle of tactical and offensive perfection. For others, he was the symbol of an era of super teams, of choosing the easy way out instead of embracing true competitiveness. But regardless of the chosen narrative, no one can deny it. Durant's presence changed everything, and now, in 2025, his name once again lingers around the walls of Chase Center like a familiar shadow. The reason? A crisis brewing in Phoenix. Internally, the Suns are facing turmoil. Despite last season being full of high hopes with the trio of Durant, Booker, and Beal, reality turned out to be much harsher than the plans on paper. Head coach Frank Vogel was fired, internal trust collapsed, and the star-studded roster failed to become a real team. The consequence? The front office is not ruling out a roster overhaul. And within this scenario, Kevin Durant emerges as the most likely piece to move. What's most curious, and perhaps most symbolic, is that this potential departure of KD isn't just coming from the front office. Internal sources indicate that Durant himself is considering a change of scenery. Tired of unstable environments, broken promises, and the constant pressure to win a title that seems more and more out of reach, he's beginning to look more fondly at an old safe harbor, the Warriors. And if this sounds like déjà vu, don't be fooled. The story might really be about to repeat itself, but with a new layer of meaning. After all, returning to the team where he won his 2 titles, was Finals MVP, and experienced the peak of his technical efficiency wouldn't just be a comfort move. It would be a chance to rewrite the final chapter of his career, to leave behind the traitor narrative and embrace the possibility of ending his journey as part of a symbolic rebuild. No longer as the savior of an already championship team, but as a mentor for a new generation, one now led by Podziemski. And this is where the pieces begin to fit together with almost poetic perfection. Think about it. A team made up of Curry, who still has gas in the tank and accumulated wisdom; Draymond Green, the defensive soul; Podziemski, the promise who became a reality; Kuminga, gaining consistency; and Durant, returning with a new mindset, less ego, more leadership. A core like this would not only attract the attention of the entire league, but also mark the beginning of a hybrid cycle, where past and future coexist. But this idea, as tempting as it is, runs into many obstacles. The first is financial. Durant's contract is heavy, and for the Warriors to make this move feasible, they would have to give up valuable assets. The question is it worth it? The answer might surprise. Because the Golden State front office has made it clear on other occasions that when they see a real chance to win, they're willing to pay the price. And KD, even at 36, still delivers elite numbers. Moreover, there's a factor that could make everything easier: mutual desire. Unlike other possible trades, where one side has to be convinced, here the interest could be genuine on both ends. Durant never fully disconnected from Golden State. His respect for Steve Kerr, Curry, and Bob Myers, even though the latter is no longer there, has always been evident. And if the return comes with the locker room's approval, the emotional impact could be as great as the technical one. And we can't forget what Durant represents within the Warriors culture. He was an active part of that philosophy of motion offense, quick passes, smart spacing. He wouldn't need to relearn anything. He'd just need to reintegrate. It would be like coming home, but with a more mature understanding of what it means to belong. This potential return would also directly impact the young players. Podziemski, for example, would have by his side someone who has been through everything, from stardom to media judgment, from glory to exile, from the top to the emotional bottom. Learning from KD would be like having a living survival manual for the NBA, and for a rising player, that's a rare gift. And here lies the core point of all this: mindset. The Warriors have always been about mindset, about knowing when to attack, when to hold back, when to trust the process. And perhaps, contrary to what some might think, bringing Durant back wouldn't be a regression. It would be a calculated step toward balance, a move that recognizes the value of experience without suffocating the development of the young core. Some say that great cycles only truly end when all the unfinished chapters are resolved. Maybe this is the final chapter missing from Kevin Durant's story with the Warriors, a return not out of necessity but by choice, out of mutual respect, out of redemption. And if this really happens, the narrative takes on cinematic contours. The kid who arrived as an underdog, Podziemski, the veteran who returned more human, Durant, and the core that never stopped believing, Curry, Draymond, Kerr, all together, building a smooth transition, a passing of the torch done on the court game after game. While rivals reorganize, swap pieces, enter panic mode, or bet on instant formulas, the Warriors once again show that their strength lies in continuity, in patience, in timing. And maybe soon Chase Center will witness not just the future shining through plays by Podziemski, but also the past returning with a new light, more mature, more humble, more determined. The clock ticks, the pieces move, and perhaps at the exact moment the dynasty will be reborn, not from ashes, but from its very own story. None of this, neither Podziemski's rise nor Durant's possible return, would make sense without a strong structure behind it. And that structure has a first and last name: Steve Kerr. He is not just the multi-champion coach of the Warriors, he is, at his core, the link between all versions of the franchise since 2014. The silent builder, the ego orchestrator, and the translator of talent. When Kerr arrived, the Warriors were just a good team. When Durant came, he knew how to adapt the system into an offensive powerhouse. When Durant left, he rebuilt. When injuries struck, he waited. And now, with a roster that blends youth and experience, Kerr once again stands at a crossroads. Accelerate the process or trust that evolution will come naturally. But with Kerr, there's no rush. There's purpose. The coach sees something that many outside the locker room don't: the value of a well-done transition. While other franchises simply trade stars for draft picks or dismantle the roster to create cap space, the Warriors prefer to build from within. That's why Podziemski's emergence is no coincidence, but the result of an environment where young players are allowed to make mistakes, learn, and grow, all under the guidance of a coach who prioritizes basketball IQ and collective understanding over individual stats. And this is exactly where a possible return of Durant fits perfectly, because Kerr knows that KD already understands the system, respects the environment, and is willing to play Warriors basketball. That kind of basketball where the pass comes before the dribble, where the extra pass is more valuable than a contested shot, and where the spotlight is shared. Imagine for a moment a lineup with Curry, Podziemski, Durant, Kuminga, and Draymond. A mix of youth and experience, creativity and consistency, speed and vision. Kerr would once again have the chance to tactically reinvent his team, not to relive the past, but to reimagine it with a fresh approach. And it's not just about tactics. There's also the human side, which has always been Kerr's defining trait. He knows how to deal with players at different stages of their careers. With Durant, he wouldn't be managing an inflated ego like in the past, but rather working with a more mature athlete, more aware of his role. KD wouldn't return to be the guy, but to contribute to something greater than himself, a legacy. This silent rebuild also involves how Kerr handles his young players. Since Bob Myers' departure, the franchise has taken an even more internally focused development approach. And Kerr has embraced that vision. He saw potential in Podziemski when no one else did. He gave Kuminga minutes through highs and lows. And now, he's willing to create a transition where the Dynasty's pillars teach, in real time, what it means to be a Warrior. This explains, for example, why the front office didn't go into panic mode at the last trade deadline. Other teams made aggressive trades, but the Warriors chose to observe, analyze, and plan. Because they know that every move must align with the culture, not just the standing. And if Durant is the next to arrive, it will be because there's a plan, not a desperate improvisation. Kerr's vision is that of a bridge, a direct connection between eras. He doesn't want an abrupt end to the Curry era. He wants this era to evolve. And that's exactly what's happening now. A slow metamorphosis, where individual brilliance gives way to the collective, where the veterans pass the torch little by little, where every piece has a clear role, even if it's outside the spotlight. What's curious is that this philosophy goes against the grain of modern NBA culture, where urgency reigns. And that's precisely why it works. Because while others jump from plan to plan, the Warriors stay the course with patience, strategy, and above all, identity. Durant's return would be more than a bombshell headline. It would be validation of a model, proof that it's possible to balance past and future, star power and system, talent and culture. So now, what to expect? The next season might be the most symbolic of the Kerr-Curry-Draymond era. Not because it will be the last, but because it could mark the beginning of a new cycle within the same legacy. A cycle where names like Podziemski and Kuminga stop being promising and become foundational. Where Curry, even with fewer minutes, remains the technical and moral leader. Where Draymond redefines his role as a defensive and emotional mentor. And, who knows, where Durant returns not as a hero, a villain, or a savior, but as someone who finally understands what it means to be part of the Warriors. Maybe that's the true essence of a dynasty. Not the number of titles, but the ability to transform without losing its soul. While the eyes of the league turn to emerging superstars, the Warriors are there, working in silence. And it's in that silence that the greatest stories are born. The next one might be being written right now. In quiet practices, in behind-the-scenes conversations, in planning meetings between Kerr and the front office, in rehearsed plays between Podziemski and Curry, all in preparation for a rebirth. It won't be a return to the old form. It will be something new, something that mixes everything the Warriors have been with everything they can still become. And if Kevin Durant really does return, it will be because he understands that. Because he, more than anyone, knows that in Golden State, basketball is more than a sport. It's art, it's culture, it's family. The Golden State Warriors have always had a special talent for standing out, not only through their on-court performance, but also in how they build their identity and connect with fans. The potential arrival of Kai Sotto to the roster wouldn't just be a technical reinforcement, but a strategic move that could expand the franchise's global influence, connecting different cultures and markets around the world. With a massive fan base in the Philippines, where he is seen as a sports icon, Kai Sotto could be the bridge that tightens the bonds between the NBA and millions of Asian fans. His presence on the Warriors could elevate the team's popularity in Asia, especially in the Philippines. A country where basketball is more than just a sport. It's a true national passion. This move would create a new wave of dedicated fans, increasing engagement and further strengthening the Warriors' brand. Beyond the direct impact on the Filipino community, Sotto's arrival could further expand the franchise's reach in international markets. The Warriors have always known how to turn their on-court success into a globally recognized brand, and Sotto could be an essential piece to drive this expansion. With a growing presence in Asia, the team could explore new commercial and strategic opportunities, solidifying their position as one of the most influential franchises in the NBA. But Kai Sotto's impact goes far beyond marketing and the global expansion of the Warriors brand. He has become an inspiration to thousands of young athletes, especially in the Philippines, and his journey proves that basketball can be a powerful tool for change and opportunity. His path shows that with dedication and effort, it's possible to rise from less favorable circumstances and carve out a space among the best in the world. For the new generations, Kai Sotto's rise represents more than just a distant dream. He is the living proof that talent and hard work can overcome barriers. Many young people look up to him and see not just a promising player, but an example of perseverance and courage. Someone who decided to face greater challenges and proved that he can compete at the highest level. If incorporated into the Warriors roster, Kai would have the opportunity to further develop his skills in an environment that values both individual and collective growth. Under the guidance of Coach Steve Kerr, who has always prioritized player development and building trust, Sotto could refine his game and reach a new level, both offensively and defensively. The Warriors system has always stood out for its fluidity, constant movement, and collective play. The team's philosophy is based on floor spacing and active participation from all players in plays, which fits well with Kai Sotto's playing style. With his versatility and tactical intelligence, he could add new possibilities to the team's scheme, strengthening the group even more. Defensively, Sotto's ability to protect the rim and dominate rebounds could be a key differentiator. He has the potential to become a modern center who not only defends effectively, but also contributes offensively, particularly with mid-range shots. Few players in his position have this combination of skills, and it could give the Warriors a new dynamic, keeping the team competitive and unpredictable for their opponents. Another important point is Kai Sotto's adaptability. The Warriors have always required their players to be versatile, and he fits this profile perfectly. In addition to acting as a rim protector, Kai could be a playmaker, helping in the offensive transition and offering new options for the team to explore. One of the greatest advantages for Kai in joining the Warriors would be the chance to play alongside basketball legends like Stephen Curry and Draymond Green. The presence of these veterans on the roster would provide invaluable experience for the young player, who could absorb knowledge and learn directly from two of the most intelligent and strategic players in the league. Curry, globally recognized as one of the greatest shooters in history, is an example of dedication and constant evolution. Having the opportunity to play alongside him would allow Kai Sotto to improve his game reading and further develop his decision-making ability on the court. On the other hand, Draymond Green's leadership and basketball IQ could be pivotal for Kai's growth. Green is known for his game vision and defensive skills, and his mentorship could help Sotto adapt to the NBA's physical and intense playing style. With Green as a guide, Kai could learn to use his height and wingspan as efficiently as possible, becoming an even more valuable asset for the team. Kai Sotto's presence would not be limited to his impact on the court. The Golden State Warriors have always embraced diversity and inclusion, reflecting the multicultural spirit of Silicon Valley. The arrival of a highly projected Filipino player would further strengthen this identity and create an even deeper bond with the Filipino community, which already has a strong presence in the Bay Area. Additionally, the franchise could leverage this connection to promote social and cultural initiatives, organizing special events and actions aimed at engaging Filipino fans. This would not only strengthen the relationship between the team and its fans, but also expand the NBA's global presence, reinforcing the cultural impact of basketball worldwide. On the commercial side, the potential signing of Kai Sotto would bring significant impact. His popularity would drive brands and sponsors to show even greater interest in the Warriors, capitalizing on the visibility he would bring, especially in the Asian market. Sales of official products, such as jerseys and other items related to the player, would experience a major boost, further increasing the team's revenue. The commercial impact would extend to TV broadcasts, advertising deals, and even strategic partnerships to strengthen the Warriors' presence in one of the fastest-growing sports markets in the world. The NBA has always been a league known for its ability to reach global audiences, and Kai Sotto's arrival at the Golden State Warriors could further intensify this expansion. He wouldn't just be another player on the roster, but a symbol of a new phase for the franchise, one that seeks to reinforce its international presence and conquer new audiences. His signing would not only be a commercial move, but also an opportunity to add talent and versatility to the team. Steve Kerr would have the mission of adapting the team's tactical scheme to integrate a center with Sotto's characteristics, making the most of his qualities within a system that values movement, collectivity, and basketball intelligence. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any details of the next news. Your support is crucial for us to continue bringing everything about our team. See you in the next video.